Hello. Okay, there we go. We're rolling. So good morning, everybody. So great to see you all. Welcome to our class. So I sent you out a couple videos to get you pumped for this. Whether you watch them or not, who cares? This class is called our Body Positive Yoga. So this is all about self-love, expression, and acceptance, which I think is so important. There we go. I'm just muting some more people, sorry. And yeah, so this is something I'm super passionate about. And I'm still learning to completely love my body as it is, no matter what's going on. So trying to approach anything that I do from a sense of wholeness, that I'm not broken, that I'm okay the way I am. And should I want to improve something, just kind of coming from that place of wholeness first. And I find that the results are so much more rewarding when I approach it in that way, as opposed to how I used to approach things. Oh, I want to change this. I don't like that about myself. I found that even if I did change something, then there was something else I wanted to change. So I never really was satisfied. So this approach of wholeness and intention is super important in my practice. And so just talking a little bit more about what we'll do to encourage body positive is, just reclaiming our bodies. So social media, popular culture, they're throwing images at us all the time. Since we were kids, we're forming this idea of what is ideal and what is not. And I would say that all of us have something about our body that we would probably like to change, whether that's appearance or ability or just wanting to turn back the clocks. So I wanted to encourage us all to just really love where we are. And a great little story that I was listening to a podcast recently, and it was a somatic experiencing podcast, so related to our nervous system. There's a little puppy up here that just scared me. Oh my gosh, he's so cute, sorry. So in the podcast, this woman says, why are elders so comfortable to be around? If you notice that children naturally gravitate to elders. So I see this with Rosie. She gravitates towards her great grandmother, her bisabuela. And the woman said that the reason is that elders have settled into their body. And I just love that. Just think about that. They've learned how to be in their body exactly as it is. She also joked that not all of us become elders, that some of us just get old. So I want to work towards becoming an elder. I want to work towards settling in my body. I don't even want to wait till I'm an elder. I want to settle into my body right now. So let's encourage that. I'm going to get you guys to lie down on your backs, and we're going to settle into our bodies, lying down onto our back. So yoga is a great way for us to connect to our bodies. So as you lie down, in any way that's comfortable for your body. So I'm going to choose to keep my knees bent this morning. It feels more supportive for my lower back. You might want to extend your legs long. Maybe that feels okay for you. And you take some time to settle into the body. So you take some time to drop the awareness away from the mind, anchor it down into your body. You're allowed to fidget, you're allowed to move, you're allowed to make adjustments to become comfortable. Maybe bring awareness to the breath, see if that helps you ground, bridging that gap between mind and body through breath. Feel the subtle weight at the back of your head. Noticing how it is that you come into contact with the floor. And start to do a body scan. So as you lie here, you can scan your body. You can choose whether you go from the top of your head down, or maybe you want to go feet up. Just checking in with your body. Noticing as you scan your body if there's any areas that call out to you. Where does your mind kind of naturally go? And is there a reason why your mind naturally gravitates to that area? Is it because it's an area that feels good, it feels free, it feels open? Or is it an area of our body that maybe has some limitation, some tension? Maybe it's an injury. There's no right or wrong, just noticing where the mind goes. And if this is an area of your body, wherever you're focusing, wherever you're naturally drawn to, if it's an area of your body that you kind of have some negative energy with, maybe it's a limitation, you wish that you had better mobility in this area, or maybe it's just an appearance thing. I have a little trick that I do. There are definitely parts of my body that I wish I could change. And what I try to do is find the positive of that body part that in my mind, I think it's negative. So if it's an appearance thing, I'll give you mine. This is going to be really funny that I'm sharing this. So I have thicker ankles. And I've always wished I had dainty little ankles. But I've learned to really appreciate what my ankles can do for me. I have never rolled an ankle. They are so sturdy. I've never broken an ankle. So I've started to really, really love the appearance of my ankles because of what they can do for me. So any area of your body that you might have trouble with, I would invite you to do this. And it might not be an appearance thing, it might be an injury, but what has that injury taught you? What are the positives that have come out from that? Let yourself just sit with that for a second. How amazing your body is. When you start to look for those positives about your body, how does that make your body feel? Do you notice a shift? Does your belly soften? Do your shoulders relax? When you invite love in for what is exactly as it is, does that create a shift? And if your belly hasn't already softened, I invite you to soften your belly. Okay, it can be kind of scary, but I want you to let that belly just relax and let it hang out. So beautiful. And when we soften the belly, let it just be there in all of its glory, how does that affect the breath? Might even want to place a hand over that nice soft belly. Just love it. Give it some little pets and tell it thank you. Thank you for all that it does. You can place one hand over your heart, and your actual heart towards the left, not this kind of energetic heart center that we often talk about, but over your actual beating heart inside of your chest. Giving thanks to the heart. Maybe you can feel it beating underneath of your hand. But know that it is there. Whether you can feel that heartbeat or not, it's there working for you tirelessly, endlessly. Before we start to move through our asanas, our postures today, just take a minute to set your intention. What are you holding space for to happen? This may be related to your body. It might not be. What are you trying to cultivate more of? And remember to water that seed with your awareness, your attention, and your energy throughout this class, throughout your day. I love to make a little mantra. So just adding an affirmation to my intention. It can be just a short phrase, and I like to phrase it in a way that I already have this. So an example, mine today is, I love my body. Whatever your intention is, I want you to really embody that as you start to move your body. So stretch your arms over, full body stretch, take your legs long. And you're moving in any way that your body is calling out for. So we're all different in what we need this morning. You might be interlacing fingers, rolling the palms away from your head, or you might have your hands separate and free, and you might just want to roll through the wrists, roll through your ankles. Maybe you're scrunching up your face, sticking out your tongue. I love to get a little bit of side to side motion in there in my full body stretch. There's going to be a time where that starts to feel complete. You feel awake and alive and present in your body, and you can take your knees to your chest. Nice and slow, mindful movement, hugging the knees to the body, a little self-hug. And feeling that great stretch for your lower back, you can rock a little side to side. Hands can be on your shins, your kneecaps, or if you have sensitive knees, take your hands behind your thighs to your knee pit. So just waking up the lower back, the sacrum, rocking around. Let your knees fall wide and open if that feels good for the hips. And then start to find some stillness. Come back to center, close the knees towards one another. And take a little self-hug. Hands over the shins or behind the thigh. You're going to take your nose up towards your knees and give yourself a little squeeze. And I want you to tell yourself something nice. Really watch that self-talk, the reel that goes around in our head. How do we talk to ourselves? Is it something that we would say out loud to another person? Because if it's not, we probably shouldn't be saying it to ourselves. And let your head come back down to the earth. We're going to cross the right ankle over the left. So crossing at the ankles. And you're going to see what happens here. You could take your hands to your knees. It's like you're sitting cross-legged, except that we're lying on our back. So picture that. You're sitting in a cross-legged position. Your knees might be close. Your knees might be able to be a little wider. You could take hands to the knees or shins. You could reach down in between your legs. Maybe you can get a hold of your ankles. Maybe that's not available to you. You could also see if you could reach on the outside, take your peace fingers and wrap them around your big toes. Okay, so that's yogi grip of the toes. Wherever you are, love what your body can do. Start to find some organic movement, maybe rocking a little side to side, and you can experiment with taking your knees away from you and wide, using that resistance of maybe hanging onto the shins or the ankles. You could also see maybe it feels better to draw the legs towards you. We're all unique. What feels good for your body? Move with love. And I like to call this one the full body smile. We're keeping our spine connected to the earth. So if reaching down to the feet makes you curl your shoulders away from the mat, then back out of the pose. And let's take the opposite cross. So cross your left ankle on top of your right and settle into this side. See how it lands in your body on this side? Maybe we're feeling a little more restricted on this side. Maybe we're a little more open. Maybe it feels better to do some sort of opposite movement than felt good on the other side. You can play with drawing the legs close. You can play with drawing the legs away, finding little wiggles. Good. And then letting that go. Take your legs up to the sky and give them a little shake. Your knees can be bent like a little dead bug. Getting some energy flowing into those legs. And now we're going to take the soles of the feet down to the earth. We're going to prepare for windshield wiper. And I want you to take your feet as wide as your mat and adjust your pelvis so you feel supported in your lower back. So you might want to just kind of lengthen and tuck the pelvis a little bit. And then start to windshield wiper the legs, tipping knees over to one side and then the other. We gave ourselves some space with our feet nice and wide. And you're feeling that weight transfer along the pelvis, right? So one side of the pelvis lifts up as the knees go to the opposite side. And then you feel the weight transfer back through the middle and to the other side. Okay, so waking up the hips. Oh, this feels so good. I'm very tight in my hips today. And as you tip your knees to one side, let's all tip our knees over to the left. And we're going to pause here. And you can adjust to be comfortable. So your knees are tipping over to the left side of your mat. I like to kind of reach down and adjust this right foot so that the heel comes a little closer towards my bum, but that takes it a little deeper. That might not feel good for you. Wherever you are, wherever it feels comfortable, you've got your nice long spine, and you can start to tack a little bit of weight into your left or your right knee. Okay, so the right knee, you picture it's going down and away from you, and you're going to feel maybe an opening for your right hip flexor or the top of the right thigh. And check in with the jaw. If you are clenching your jaw, that's probably a good sign that we're asking the body to do too much. So I want you to think less is more. If you've got that jaw clenched, back out a little bit. See if you can soften the belly, soften the face. Good, let's take it from here. Keep your legs in exactly what they're doing and reach your right arm up and overhead. So it comes beside your temple and you're resting it on the ground if that's available to you. You can bring a little bend into the elbow if that feels more supportive. Okay, so now we're in a rainbow pose. We've got this beautiful opening and arching through the whole right side of the body. Opening through my belly, belly soft. And you can keep doing those little energetic, sending the knee down and away from you. And maybe you want to turn your head towards the right. And just resting your face into the support of your right arm. Oh, that feels nice. And on your inhale, take your gaze back up to the sky, lower your right arm, slowly tip your knees up to center. You might need to adjust your feet as wide as your mat again, and take some windshield wiper. A nice slow movement. Noticing if there's a difference from the right side to the left side. And then let's let the knees tip over to the right side of the mat, and you adjust your legs in any way to feel comfortable holding this position. Knees tipping to the right. They might be nowhere close to the floor, and that is okay. And I don't want you to feel any knee tension, especially in that left knee. Okay, so find a position with that leg that your knee feels okay. You don't feel any sort of quiet whispers or little tweaks of, hey, my knee does not feel comfortable. So I had that going on, and I just made an adjustment to find something more supportive for my knee. Good, and energetically, you can think about lengthening in two different directions. Left knee down and away from you, opening up through your left hip flexor, and you feel this little arch come into your spine. We're starting already to get that little rainbow shape through the body. Belly soft, you don't have to hold your belly in, let it be free, Buddha belly. And you can take an inhale, reach your left arm overhead. Oh, yes. It's always nice to really root the awareness into the body. Maybe you wiggle your toes. I always find that just woof, shifts me right into my body. Wiggle my toes, wiggle my fingers. Notice the energy of inhale as opposed to exhale. Feel how the breath moves in the body in this posture. So even though we're holding this pose, it's quite dynamic when we focus on the breath. You might want to turn your head slightly to the left, resting your temple towards that arm. And it's going to feel really nice to start to slowly move out of this pose. So anytime we hold a posture for a little longer, it feels good to let the prana flow back in as you lower your arm, let your gaze be up, and start to slowly tip your knees back through center. Find any movement that serves you. Getting circulation flowing back into the legs and the hips. So it might be windshield wiper, or maybe you have an urge to take the legs up to the sky and do that little dead bug pose. Good. And then let's give ourselves another self-hug, hugging knees to the chest. Hands are over shins or behind your thighs. Find that nice little rock side to side. And tell yourself something nice. We're going to slowly prepare to come up to standing. We're not even going to do any seated postures right now, and we're not going to come onto our knees right now. I thought we'd do a class where we just give our knees and our wrists a break. So start to make your way up to standing, however you can get there. Okay, nice and slow. I'm just going to pause for a second in a little forward fold and walk out my legs. I'm going to adjust my camera so you can see me. Now, I had mentioned in the email that we're going to want a chair. I hope that you got a chair. If you don't, maybe run and grab and get one right now. I'm just using a kitchen chair. Beautiful, because we're going to do some standing postures, and it can be nice to have the added support of the chair for these. But you can also do this freestanding. You don't necessarily need the chair. Good, so let's just start by standing in our Tadasana. Yeah, we got right to it standing today. This isn't normally like me, is it? And I'm gonna start just with my hands on my hips and do a little power pose. So this is one of those power poses if you watch that TED Talk, opening up through your chest, the Wonder Woman. Yeah. And feel your weight. Is it even on your feet, or do you feel a little heavy on the balls of the feet? See if you can shift your weight back towards your heels. And open up your heart. Roll those shoulders a couple times if that feels nice. Forward, back. And let those shoulders settle down. The heart is open. And just take a couple breaths here and notice how this posture lands in your body. How does it make you feel? Okay, maybe it feels kind of silly. Maybe it feels very empowering. What's your experience? And we're gonna let that go. We're gonna take an inhale and we're gonna sweep the arms out and up, reaching overhead, getting ready for a lateral stretch. You're gonna get a hold of your left wrist and you're gonna dive over to the right. So it's gonna look like I'm going opposite to you if I'm head on. I'm doing my right, you're doing your right. So we're stretching over to the right, opening up left side body. Let the shoulders relax down out of the ears. Really root and connect through your feet, especially that left foot. Feel roots growing into the earth. Good. Inhale coming up. Let the hands melt down. Take them behind your body and get a hold of your left wrist behind your body. Okay, and then start to broaden through your collarbone. So roll the shoulders onto the back. Think about opening up through your collarbone, heart open, just tugging a little bit on that wrist and then drop the right ear to the right shoulder. Okay, opening left side of the neck. And you can play with the angle of your chin. What happens if you drop your chin? What happens if you lift your chin? Find your perfect pose for your body. And try to have a little softness in the back of the knee. Try not to lock your knees. Good job. Good. On our next inhale, we're going to break free with the hands. Take the arms overhead. Gather all that energy. Get a hold of your right wrist. And then we're going to reach over to the left. So root down through that right foot. You're lengthening in two different directions, right side body. Good. Let your shoulder blades slip down your back. And I hope you can have a smile on your face in this one. We're using our obliques. We're using some energy here, core awareness. I want you to be able to breathe. So if it's too deep, back out of it. Good. On an inhale, come up nice and tall with the spine. Take your hands down behind you. And get a hold of your right wrist. Start to open up through your collarbone. And then tip your left ear down towards the shoulder. Shoulders relax. Heart open. You can play with the angle of your chin. With your heart open in this pose, maybe you want to repeat your mantra, your intention to yourself. Remind yourself why you're here. Before we let go of this little neck stretch, I want you to imagine that someone's given you a nice little peck on the neck, a little kiss on the neck. Good. On the inhale, coming up with your head, and you can just release the hands, shake them out. Shake out your hips. Let's do some hip circles. So this time we're gonna take our feet a little wider than hip distance apart. And you can have your hands on your hips if you want for this one, or your waist. And just start to draw some circles, and you're going to be nice and loose through your knees. We're not locking the knees, we're bending through the knees. And it might be just small, you're kind of moving your pelvis around, or maybe you're going to get right into it, moving your torso and your hips. You choose. Play with small circles and big circles. Just moving our hips in planes that we don't normally move them necessarily in our daily life. We tend to be quite linear in our daily life. And then start to move the opposite direction. Maybe you already did, but if you didn't, start to move the opposite way, find those circles. And chances are this is maybe your unhabitual way. So I have one way that feels really natural to circle, and then the other way feels a little stuck, a little clunky, but I'm gonna roll with it. And after a few circles, it might start to open up. It might start to feel a little more natural. Check in with your breath. So I just tapped into my breath as I was doing this, and I started to notice a breathing pattern connected to my movements. Okay, there's one half of a circle that my body wants to inhale, there's one half that it wants to exhale. It's bringing that awareness into body, into breath. Good, let it go, throw a little tantrum, shake out your whole body. Good, now we're gonna use our chair. So if you have a chair, I hope you do, you're going to use the back of the chair. And what I love to do these stretches is actually in the kitchen where I have a countertop, especially where I can just kind of pull on my sink, but I don't have my sink out here, so I'm gonna use my chair, and that's gonna be great. So we're gonna do a nice little stretch just for our back body, a forward fold using the assist of a chair. So you're gonna start to walk your legs out, walk your legs back to a distance, hands on top of your chair, to a distance that works for your hamstrings. So some of us might be closer to the chair. Some of us might be further away in more of a 90-degree bend. And I don't want you to lock your knees. I want you to bring a little micro bend into the back of your knee. And we're using this resistance. So we could pull the chair with us, but just try to keep your hands on the top of the chair and think about lengthening spine and lengthening the backs of the legs. You can let your head relax wherever is comfortable. Make sure there's length on the back of your neck. I'm moving a little side to side because that feels really good. After a couple breaths, you might be able to sink a little deeper. And just say hello to your hamstrings. Again, no matter where we come to, how far we go, can we just really appreciate what our body can do? And then in this position, let's focus more on the shoulders. So I'm using some core strength here. I'm drawing my lower abdomen in and up. I'm engaging my pelvic floor, Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha. And I'm going to just melt my heart a little bit, a deeper stretch for the armpits, the chest. Oh, yeah, the shoulders. And again, you might be up here. That might be your stretch. That's okay. And then play with it. Drop one shoulder. So it's like you're doing a little twist. And you're still having that nice little pull. You're pulling away from the chair, but you're twisting now. You're dropping one shoulder or one armpit and then the other. So you find this nice little gentle twist. So you feel a deeper opening for one side of the body and then the other. And this is actually a lot of work. I'm building up a little sweat here. I know everybody's like, it's really humid, that's why, but I'm working my body as well. Good, let's start to just slowly come up, start to walk towards your chair and shake it out, shake out the arms, shake out the hips. And settle into your mountain posture and pause for a second. You can have eyes open or closed. Drop the awareness into the body. Feel the energy of your body after that simple stretch. So I feel all this tingly energy coursing through my body. It feels awesome. I feel a greater sense of aliveness. That might not be your experience, but you just check in with yourself. What are you feeling? Good. Let's come into another one. So using our chair, you're facing your chair. And we're going to do that little hip stretch. So you're going to bring your ankle onto the top of your thigh or your knee. We can start with whatever foot you're starting with. I'm starting with right side. And we're sinking back and down. Okay, so you don't want your knee to come ahead of your toes. You want the weight towards the heel. And we're not exaggerating this lower back curve. You want to have some engagement of your core. And again, I'm just kind of thinking about sinking back and away. I'm feeling a nice opening for my right hip because I'm doing my right side. You might be on opposite side. Okay, feel the strengthening, that strength of that standing leg. Loving what our bodies can do. Good, let's let that go. We're going to stand up nice and tall, shake it out, do a little hula. Let's prepare to do the other side. So feeling rooted through both feet, and then you shift the weight over to the opposite leg. So you're standing on the opposite one. I'm going to bring up my left ankle, place it onto my thigh, and bending back and down. So I have a little shelf. I have somewhere to put that left foot. And it's not sliding. Good. Oh yeah, this side's a little more tight for me. I'm gonna breathe into it and feel all this opening for the outside of my hip. You might feel it on the inside of your thigh. You might feel it across your bum. Just noticing where you feel this. And I want you to look down at your foot. Notice if it's kind of relaxed. I want you to flex your left foot or the foot that's up. Flex that foot, stabilize your knee. Definitely more challenging on this side. Whew. Good. Let's use an inhale to gather our strength and lift up and let it go, shake it out. Especially that standing leg, shake it out. And then again, pause in your Tadasana, just roll your hands forward, heart open, eyes can be soft gaze or eyes closed. And catch your breath. So seemingly very simple postures, but my breath became a little shallow. I broke out in a little sweat, got a flush in my face. I was working. Good. Let's come back to our chair. So facing your chair again, for this one, you're going to walk your feet nice and wide. So we're going to come into standing forward fold, but we're not going to focus on coming all the way down. So we're going to use the support of the chair. And of course, if you are more flexible, you might want to turn your chair around and you can use the seat of the chair for support instead of the back of the chair. I'm going to use the top of the chair. Your feet are wider than shoulder distance apart. So a nice healthy distance apart. Turn your toes slightly in, your heels slightly apart. Try not to lock out the backs of the knees. So there's a little micro bend in the back of your knee. And again, you just sink your weight back towards your heels, your thigh bones. You can imagine, you can see mine. They're moving back. And that gets that fold right there at the hips. And you can let the back of the neck open. And I want you to bring awareness to your hip points and feel if they're equal. Do your hips feel squared? I hope so. And then we're going to play with that. We're just going to shift the weight a little into the Let's shift the weight towards the left. So kind of like that twist we did, where we're dropping right armpit. And now our right hip drops and our left hip is higher. Okay, and then shift to the opposite side. Find that little twist on the opposite side. We're feeling a stretch for the inner thigh, and you can go back and forth a couple times, just shifting those hips side to side. One hip drops and then the other. We're also getting a beautiful stretch up through the body as we do this. Okay, and what if we really ground through the feet and you start to do that little shift a little faster? Let go of your muscles, just let them shake. Go a little faster. We're twerking. I gotcha. How does that feel? Just let it go. Feels silly, probably, but it feels really good too. Ah, and let it go. Settle down. Let your heart melt. Take that little stretch. Preparing to come up, I want you to find a lot of energy in your legs. Root down through your feet. Find the strength of your legs. Take your hands back to your hips and press up from the strength of the feet and the legs. Woo! That really got a flush going. Step your feet in and shake out your hips. I bet you didn't know that you could twerk. And then settle into your body. Settle into your mountain pose. Rotate your palms forward. Remember that little armpit of power that I've been talking about? So externally rotating your arm bones. Okay, and this is another power pose here. It's receiving, heart open. Okay, you can move your chair out of the way. And we're going to take our feet wide again. We're preparing for goddess pose. So you're going to turn your toes out, heels in, and you want your toes in line with your knees. We're going to take a squat. We're going to start to sink down, and you can adjust your heels and your toes so you feel very supported and safe in your knees. You don't want your knees rolling in different directions from your toes. And you can be up higher, or you can sink deeper into that power. I'm using my hands on my legs for some support. But what if we take the arms up? Really find that power pose, goddess. Try to add a smile to this one. And let's just see what our body can do. No pressure here, but can you lift your left heel? If you can't, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. Can you lift your right heel? And lower it down. Can you lift both heels? Think about Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, and lower. Okay, let's come up. Let's give our legs a break. Turn your toes slightly in, your heels slightly apart. Just shake your hips out again. We're doing that little twerk moves, shifting your hips. Good, and then let's come back into goddess. So take your feet out, toes out, heels in. Sink it down into your goddess pose. And this time you're going to use your hands on your thighs, and you're thinking about opening your knees, just opening them away from one another. And we're going to find a little twist. So I'm going to use my left hand, press. I'm going to drop that left shoulder forward. So it's a nice little twist, using the resistance of my legs, pressing my hands into the legs. And the other side, you just go back and forth at your own pace. Doesn't this posture just make you feel like a goddess? Especially if somebody is walking by. Hey, yo. Okay, my legs are burning. Let's come up. Good. Turn your toes slightly in, heels slightly apart, and just find that little shape. Let it go. You can shake out your legs. Let your muscles be soft. Let everything jiggle and roll around. Good. Let's heel toe those feet in, coming back to our mountain posture. Feet underneath of your hip bones. You can turn your palms forward. Just pause for a second. Let yourself anchor awareness into the body. Let the breath settle. Let it come back to the belly. And we're going to prepare to come down onto our mat. We're going to come right down onto our backs. I meant it when I said we're not going to kneel. We're not going to sit today. We're just going to give our bodies a little break. For this next sequence, we're going to be playing with Happy Baby. You might want a strap, but a strap is not necessary. I'm going to give you so many modifications that you'll be able to do this without a strap, but you might enjoy it with a strap. You could have strap close just in case. You lie down onto your back. Sweat rag. And we're going to hug the knees into the body. And we're going to start just in that nice little stretch for the lower back. And I want you to take your hands to the backs of the knees. So take them to the knee pits. This is the beginning of our Happy Baby. And for our Happy Baby, you want to make sure that your head, your shoulders, and your sacrum stay connected to the earth. So you can see me a bit better. There we go. Okay, so we don't want to be rounding up. We want the full support of the spine on the earth. And you can play with maybe taking it a little deeper by opening your knees a little wider and maybe walking your hands up your shins. Okay, so again, this is where the strap could be handy. Maybe you put the strap over your foot, but you'd have to put it over both feet. You can do that. You can see. I really like to do this without the strap, even if I don't have the flexibility to get up to where my toes are. I can hang on to my calves or my shins, and that works. And I still have the support of my spine connected to earth. And you start to rock a little side to side. And we're just going to play with this movement. Okay, so let yourself be in center wherever you are. Maybe your hands are behind your knees. Maybe they're on your shins. Maybe you're right up there, yogi grip on your big toes. And I want you to shift your weight towards the right so that you roll towards your right, and you're going to look towards the right as well. I want you to look where you're going. And just pause there for a second. So your weight is towards your right side. Left side floating. And then start to take your gaze up to the ceiling. Start to, nice and controlled, move through center. And then start to become heavy on the left side. So your left knee maybe comes down and kisses the earth, maybe even your elbow, and you're looking left. And start to play with that nice, slow, controlled movement side to side. So we're not relying just on momentum here. We don't get this crazy rocking going, but we're actually controlling the movement. Nice and slow. And then let's add on to that. So next time you roll towards the right, you're heavy on the right side, I want you to start to straighten that left leg up towards the sky. Okay, it might not come straight, but you have that intention, lifting left foot up to the sky. And then come back through center. You bend your left knee, you roll to the left, you look to the left, and you straighten your right leg, lifting it up towards the sky. And then you bend your right knee, you roll to the right, and you get the idea. You're going to go back and forth but with adding on this little straightening of the leg, lifting it up. Again, this can be done just hanging on to your shin. And you're just playing, just start to get a nice, easy movement. You might be able to go a little faster once you start to get this. Okay, let's play a little differently. Next time you roll to the right, okay, so we get heavy through the right. I want you to straighten that left leg, but I want you to bring it to the side. So instead of going up to the sky, now we're taking it over to the right side. Hello. Good, and then bend that left knee and let's do the other side. Start to look to the left, roll to the left, straighten your right leg, but instead of going up, we're going to the left. Oh, I feel that in my IT band, that outside of my leg. This is a great one for anybody that does a lot of walking. And of course, you're moving with love within your own body. So you're just taking it to a place that feels good for you. You don't have to push it into a place of pain. It doesn't matter if the legs don't come all the way straight. You can keep a bend in your knee and still feel this. And then why don't you play just experimenting back and forth? Maybe you do a couple where your legs stretch to the side or where the leg stretches up to the ceiling. And I want you to just really let it go and play around. Love what your body can do. We're happy babies. We're really getting into this happy baby today. Just imagine you could go back to yourself as a baby and you could program yourself to be whatever it is that you want to be. Okay, let's start to let that go. Come back through center and just hug the knees to the chest. And pause here for a second. A little self-hug. Tell yourself something nice. And taking soles of the feet down to the earth. We're going to come into bridge, a nice gentle bridge, an inversion to cool ourselves down. The feet are hip distance apart, the heels are close to the bum. You can start with your arms alongside your body, and you're going to press into the support of the feet, especially the ball of the big toe, lifting up. You find one long line from your knees to your hips to your shoulders. Just hold this, feel the energy from the big toe into your inner thighs, into your core. You're looking straight up. If you want to take this deeper into the chest, bend your elbows, little robot arms. You're going to have fingertips pointing to the sky, palms facing one another. You're going to press into the upper arms, squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift the chest. And start to slowly prepare to come down. Release your hands back to the earth. Walk your shoulders out. Come up high onto the balls of the feet. Lift your heels. And slowly roll the spine down one vertebrae at a time. And once your sacrum kisses the earth, you can hug the knees to the chest. Take your nose up towards your knees. Give yourself a little squeeze. Tell yourself something nice. What do you like about your body? And start to lower your head down. And we're going to spread out into Shavasana, our final pose. You might choose to have knees bent. You might choose to take legs long. Wherever you are, make sure that your pelvis is in a position that you feel supported for the lower back. And shimmy your shoulder blades underneath of your body. Connect those little angel wings to the earth. And take your hands to the back of your neck. I want you to just massage the back of your neck, a little loving self-touch. And see if you can lengthen the back of the neck, maybe even lift it up, find some traction, lifting the head, tucking the chin ever so slightly to the heart, back of the neck long. And then gently lay your head back onto the mat, keeping in mind that beautiful length that you just created for the back of your neck. Letting your arms lay wherever's comfortable. You might have palms connected to belly, reminding belly to be soft, open. You might want to take arms comfortably away from your body, palms up. And let yourself settle into your body. Let the skin of the face become soft. So there's no holding in between the eyebrows or around the eyes. We're not setting our jaw. Let the whole face soften. And just imagine that it's smoothing out, melting like a little puddle towards the earth. Heart open. And anytime some stiffness or some tensing starts to creep into the body, then feel free to adjust or move so that you can soften the body and be relaxed. As you lie here, nice and relaxed, I'm going to read you a quote from one of my favorite yoga teachers, Donna Farhi. Many people begin practicing hatha yoga with the belief that one elusive day when they have touched their toes or achieved a particularly difficult posture, that they will be doing good or real yoga. In truth, it matters little how far we can bend or how far we can twist. For wherever lies the point of resistance in your own body is where you have the greatest opportunity to learn and to change. And this opportunity exists whether you have the flexibility of an ironing board or the mobility of a gymnast. If you can meet yourself where you are, rather than always looking beyond yourself to where you'd like to be, this attitude of steadiness and compassion will bring the fruits of yoga to you. Let's start to slowly bring your awareness back into your body. You could start by wiggling your fingers and your toes. Scanning your body with your mind, noticing how it feels after an hour of yoga. After an hour of some self-care, self-love. Start to bring your hands together in front of your heart and rub your hands together. Create some friction, some heat in between your hands. And let your hands come over your face and just feel that warmth of your hands on your face. You can start to gently massage your face in any way that feels good. Gratitude for this beautiful face that we have. Take your hands to the backs of the necks, massage the back of your neck and massage down your neck out to your shoulders. And if you're still on your back, you can roll to the side and you can just curl up and give yourself a nice little hug. And if you've already made it to seated, you can do the same, giving yourself a little self hug, wrapping your arms around yourself. Telling yourself something nice. And if you're lying down on your side, you can start to slowly help yourself up to seated. Keeping that sense of connection to your body that you cultivated. You come to seated, lifting up tall through your spine, letting your shoulders relax. Let's place one hand over our heart, the other one on top, bowing toward our beautiful body. I honor and love your body for all that it can do, and I hope you do too. Namaste. Thank you. Hit the end record.